Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Link Up. I certainly hope that you all are having a great day. Merry Christmas to you and to your family. Have you gotten everything done? Does it seem as though there's not enough time to really and truthfully do everything or get everything done? Well, you know what? If you find that's happening, just take a deep breath and let go of what, really is not important. You're going to be spending some time with your family, some time with friends, and that's going to be the great part. And how you do that, well, is up to you. We like to start with our self-checks. Have you done yours? Have you checked on yourself to see how you're feeling? Is there, slight ache or pain or slight fever, cough? If you have any doubt whatsoever, please don't forget to check in with your doctor. And better yet, get tested. Yeah, we don't want you self-diagnosing or self-medicating. Now is not the time. We want you to enjoy this season. So don't be out and about and forget that there's a pandemic, out there. It's still out there. Don't forget that. It isn't gone anywhere. So check in with your doctor and get tested. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. Now, today, I don't need to tell you, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm letting you know now that this is the final episode, yes, for the Link Up for this season. So we're going to be celebrating life today with three very different and very talented Bajans. Contemporary artist Sheena Rose, who has placed us on the map with her immense talent and inspired those who are aware, with her incredible courage. And also, his guitar and vocal stylings have impressed me and many others for years. But for me, it's been his cheeky and somewhat in-your-face views of life on Facebook, which have pulled at my heartstrings and my funny bone. I'm talking about musician Cummins, and you're going to get an opportunity to meet him today. And she's been here before on a truly inspiring episode, but today we celebrate the release of her new Christmas album. I'm talking about gospel entertainer NEESHA WOODZ. So stay with us. It's going to be a highly informative and entertaining link up, I promise you. Remember, you can participate. We love it when you do. You can place your comments or questions on our stream on Facebook at CBC Barbados. And you can also join us on YouTube, sharing your comments and questions in real time. Sheena Rose will join us after the break. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Link Up. Today is the final episode in the current series. It's certainly been a joy bringing the Link Up to you every Friday and sharing some of the interesting people across the globe, not just here in Barbados, but around the world. And yes, we've had people from all corners of the world, but we've also been celebrating Barbadians who've been, yes, excelling here at home, but also excelling around the world and placing Barbados on the map. And one young lady whom I am just thoroughly delighted in is Sheena Rose. For many reasons. Sheena has an eye and a love of color that as an artist I tend to enjoy. And yes, she's contemporary, so sometimes you might look at what she creates and think, what is she trying to say here? But I think that one of the things that I also like about her is when you look at her work, it's real. It's fun, it's cheeky, but it's also real. And I thought that I could not end, the link up without having her join us. So I'm going to say good morning to you, Sheena. Merry Christmas, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be nosy.
Good morning, Peta. How are you doing?
I
Merry
am
Christmas.
well. Merry Christmas. It's lovely to see you.
It's good to
Lovely
see
to
you
see
too.
you. So let's just delve right in. I always like to say that there are people who, are unlike me. They're not sure of who you are. They might have seen some stuff. So let's go back and let's see if we can unravel who Sheena is, what makes Sheena
Okay.
tick, and what shaped her to be the individual that she is today. So let's go back. Tell me a
Oh,
little bit about your childhood. What was life like? Did you always realize that you had a talent for creating color and forms and shapes and images? Did you?
yes. I would say that from the time I could grab a pencil, crayon, paper, anything, so I would just draw. And then I had a small, cute pink bedroom, and I would hang the small toys onto my tennis gallery. So I was like around 5, 7. That is like earliest I could remember. And sell my work like for 5 cents and 10 cents and just pretend it's a gallery. So as I grew up, I want to be a cartoonist. And I said, you know what? Like, I started to do like little comic books that were like funny comic books. And then I went to Springer Memorial School and I did some comic books, and girls would line up to want to read them. And then other people. And as time go by, and I went to Barbados Community College, I did my associate degree, I did my bachelor's degree, and I said I want to be an international artist.
Love
During
this.
that time studying, pardon?
No, I said I love this. I love how I'm picking up that you are speaking your current life into reality, even back then.
Sorry, my mother just walked in.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, mom. Anyway, sorry.
Go ahead.
So you were saying about the timeline about me
Yes,
being interested in art.
you were speaking your life now into being back then. You said you wanted to be an international artist.
Yes, so I met Sonia Boy. She was actually first international artist from England, but she got Bajan roots. And I was like, what's an international artist? And she told me someone that travel around the world, show around the world. And I was like, so if somebody paint a dot on a canvas, what kind of art is that? She said it made you think, and it also made you know that space exists. So I went to New York as a school trip with the college, and I fell in love with video installation. I fell in love with the contemporary art, not so much the traditional art, not so much the more like oil paintings and stuff at that time. And I was so intrigued. Then when we did our portfolio for bachelor's, people were like, my work was very like controversial. Like I had all kinds of strange things going on in my work. I was in the newspaper. I was the highlight. Someone shouted, "You need Jesus!" So I was like, I love it. I love this attention. So then as time go by, more and more, I start to show in different countries. I start to live in different countries. So I was in South Africa. I was in Amsterdam. I live in the jungle in Suriname, Mungo, Suriname. I
Wow.
went museums, galleries, all kinds of stuff. So I was like my work was really getting a lot of attention. Then I received a Fulbright scholarship, which is like one of the top scholarships in the world, come from these White House, like the State Department. And I was like blown away because here it is, a girl that started in a bedroom pretending it's a gallery, then wanted to be a cartoonist, then met an international artist and said want to be an international artist, and then get one of the top scholarships in the world. So I studied, did my master's at the North University of North Carolina at Greensboro between the time of 2014 to 2016. And in between that time, you would imagine or think I would be a normal student. No. People were demanding me. I was on the book cover of Naomi Jackson book called The Bird Side of Star Hill. It got a lot of reviews. It was on Vanity Fair. It was on, I think, Oprah book list. I was one of the best book cover for Huffington Post. Then I had a show at Mokata Museum of Contemporary African Diaspora Art. The list go on while trying to be an ordinary student. Then from there, when I graduated with my master's, Venus Williams brought my work in 2016, and things blew up more. So
This is,
yeah, should I
she said, yes, she said Venus Williams. Okay? That's what she said.
yeah.
That's the name she called. Yup. And what she's
I,
missed out as well is that Emma Watson, who played
yes.
Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter series, also said that this young lady is her favorite artist. So take that. Well
I
done.
thank you, Peter. I was like so shocked because after Venus Williams, after Emma Watson mentioned me in the Vogue magazine, New York Times flew in, Travel Leisure flew in. I was on the cover of New York Times for one of the best photographs by Mural. Please forgive me, but a very well-known photographer from Miami. And what else now? Then later on, my work was on Empire TV show, and the list go on and on and on and on. So now my work is like on the demand. So I just show up at the Buck Gallery, which is I now starting to get recognition through the commercial aspect of the art market. I was in museums and galleries known as a very dramatic conceptual artist, but now people going crazy trying to get my newest work, which is sports series and so on like that. So, as I mentioned before on a previous show, my work sold out in New York and in Miami just this year. So, I 2022 is looking crazy for me next year. Peter?
But if we
Hello?
could just pause at this one. This was one of the murals, and I think that this was around the time that I really and truthfully began to be aware of the you being so thoroughly out of the island and being commissioned to do major work. Tell us about this one that we're seeing on screen. Can you see it?
No, I can't, but you could describe it quickly.
Okay, it's the one, oh my goodness, with all of the colors, like the yellows and the reds. It's obviously at an
But that,
important building. There's a long staircase and um,
oh, wow. Yeah, that's the Inter-American Development Bank.
right, that's it.
That was in 2019 when they had called me earlier in the year and they said, Sheena, we would like you to do a mural for us in the Inter-American Development Bank. And what happened, um, I was like, whoa, because I never done murals before. Probably did um, when Kia Shepherd had the display years ago and you do the show windows, but I never done a mural before. So I say yes. And the process was something else. Behind the scene for the past for 3 months, I was preparing the sketches, conceptualizing. And the concept I came up with is looking at countries that they associate the South with, which is the Caribbean and Latin America. And I started to think of colors, and I started to think of how do we represent ourselves, and thinking of the future and questioning, can the Caribbean and Latin America come together somehow. So I started with red because I was very angry and passionate and know how we can develop in the Caribbean. Then I started to add a turquoise blue, which is the Barbadian Sea, a dark blue, which is our reality, yellow for transitioning, and so many colors and meanings. And then I look at different countries, landscapes, and cityscapes and merge them and mash them up together. So when you come and see this mural, you are blown away. You are overwhelmed with colors and lines, and it feels like a whirlwind you're in. So it's a two-story mural, and when I did it by myself for 12 days. Fast so. And the president of the bank was so impressed. He flew me back in and I did a talk with him. This is in Inter-American Development Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C. And that was amazing. It went viral, and I was just so proud of myself. And up to today, people still talk about it. People are still blown away by it.
I can't begin to imagine that all of that was done in just 12 days. Um,
Yes.
but for me, all that you mentioned when I first saw it was that the explosion of color and then the lines, the form, and as you go up this staircase and you're looking at it, you're seeing all of these incredible shapes and you're trying to work out what exactly is this. And I'm only now realizing that you're saying the landscapes and the cityscapes have been merged because I
Hmm.
recognize buildings, but I wasn't quite sure. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward now to talking next about the now because we've all been through a really serious year in terms of trials and challenges, and you even more so with a health crisis and having to live with that on a day-to-day basis. So we've got lots more to talk about. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back.
I spoke to a lot of business people, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I also spoke to all kinds of people like scientists, doctors, lawyers to understand how does it go that I could be respected and be also seen as the level as them. So I had to practice speaking. I had to practice public speaking too on TV shows and media. Then I wanted to break this wall, this look of how artists should behave, and also think that we are not a certain level of intelligence. So I find it's becoming a little bit easier. It started at first, it felt like being bilingual because you can't how to express and see the world this particular way. But then business is also like being creative and finding ways how to attract people, how to make the product look attractive. But I think the challenge is having integrity. I'm not just seeing it as just a product. This is something that I want that it live on forever, that it have value, it have quality, and it have content. It's not just to say decoration or just there just to be there to make money. So I guess that is reminding myself I am an artist that have to express, but I also need to eat. So I try to stick with what I believe in and really, I don't want to say convince, but try to like invite people to this world and make them feel as though if you're not in this world, you're missing out. So business is a lot of psychology, art is a lot of psychology, and they use a simple line, right? Because if you look at Nike, they say just do it, and we remember Nike. And when we look at other slogans, we remember their simple slogans. So I said, or I asked, do you have a Sheena Rose? That simple sentence make you reflect, make you step back, and make you wonder, are you relevant? Are you collecting value? Are you part of the trend? Or do you appreciate art? Just that simple sentence. So I am learning a lot about balancing as an artist. I'm learning a lot to balance as a businesswoman. And I'm learning a lot just to, I guess, engage and learn and see how to merge the two along the way.
And you also have such a wonderful opportunity now because of where you were placed in time. You know,
Mm,
artists before didn't have social media. They had to literally pound the streets or you know, rely on benefactors who would commission their work, and that idea of the starving artist, yes, was true back then. Some of them only became known after they left this earth, and
it's
now
true.
their work is worth millions. But you can, you know, just be out there and in front of millions within minutes, you know. So I'm liking what I'm hearing, and that you're taking advantage of where you are at the moment. But what particular, I'm trying to find the art word for it, but I'm forgetting it. I'm thinking of medium. Which medium do you prefer? Do you past paint, oil paint, and you brushed past it earlier in our conversation. But what medium do you generally prefer? What
I
speaks to you
re-
the most?
I really love drawing. I truly love to draw. I my favorite media is a pen, and I just pick up and draw. Drawing is fundamental. You start with a line, you start with a dot, and then you continue with a line. And I've this is when the business aspect come in, that I merge the art too, because I find people are afraid to start. The hardest part is to start. So I would say start with a dot and continue with a line. So for me, that's why people will say, "Oh, you're so prolific. You're so this," because I don't want to sit there and just imagine it. I want to see it. So I get my pen, I get my paper, and I start to draw. So I always I want to do a piece about synchronizing swimmers. I did one and it sold in Miami. Now I would like to do another one. And with coming back about the business and the art and the social media, a lot of artists are introverts. So you have to like push yourself really out there. Like I've really pushed myself like an entertainer too, deliberately to be remembered. So my media, as I mentioned, is pen. But then from there, I branch on from paint to costumes to social media to storytelling to acting to collaging. So I start with a pen. So this is me sketching very quickly, looking at synchronized swimmers. And in my head, I have another idea of a background, which I would not reveal as yet. So I start with this, and then all of a sudden, I might decide to want to see how it feels to be a synchronized swimmer. So I did swimming lessons. So when I did surf and painting, I start with a pen, then I paint. Now I want to do surfing lessons. I want to see how it physically feel to surf.
Well,
So that's what.
that was brilliant when you shared with us on Facebook your swimming experience. I mean, it was almost like if we were there with you, you know. And as someone who has been swimming for eons, I literally believe in a previous life I was a fish. That, you know, when you spoke about absorbing, you know, all of what the moment had to offer, and that was so, I connected with it immediately, and I felt the thrill for you when you actually accomplished it and you could go out there on your own, and that was brilliant. That was
Thank you.
brilliant.
Art to me is about connecting, and it's not about just, yes, it's a craft. It's a craftsmanship. Just like a doctor get tools and do surgery and check your body, just like a lawyer get his butts or her butts and tell you the laws, the artist is known for craftsmanship. You must remember this, whoever this is, whoever creative. Because during these hard times we're going through right now, it's very hard. But let me tell you, people are still buying, people still giving grants and so on. So art is about connecting. Art is about sharing and teaching you something new, or teaching you or reminding you of something. So I when I did swimming because of this. To be honest, I was scared of climate change. Hurricane Dorian frightened me, and that hit Bahamas. And then I started to think about my art and started to think of celestial navigation. And I spoke to a captain researching about boats and how do they survive in the sea. So I decided to dive in the sea and see how it feels. I have a phobia of fish. I can't deal with sea creatures, right? People say, oh, look at the turtles. And I'm like, huh, move away from me. So I decided to do swimming, and I as I will announce, which I have announced in the beginning of the pandemic, I have lupus. So therefore, I cannot do any hard exercises. I cannot do gym. I cannot lift weights. I cannot do kickboxing anymore. Because for those who don't know what's lupus, lupus attack any part of your body. It's an autoimmune disease. So purple represent lupus, but what I said, do I be depressed about it? No, I was sad before my diagnosis because I felt as though I was dying every day. My throat would tighten, my eyes would swell up, I would got arthritis in my hand, I would get brain fog. Up to now, I would still get brain fog, but I didn't know what it was before. Now I know what it is, and I try to control it every single day of my life. And I go swimming, and it help relaxes me, and it help with my art.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. And I did remember, and I wore mine in support today. So,
Yes.
yes, I did remember. So, we're going to talk about that, and those challenges and how you overcome them, because everyone has something. Um, you know, I think that was the title of Robin Roberts on ABC, her book. You know, everyone's got something. And we're going to talk about how you make your mask, you know, your business, and how you work around it. We're going to do that after we come back. I don't know why I keep on, um, I don't know, linking Harry Potter this morning, but J.K. Rowling, who wrote the series, she said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I built my life." Um, and it's a quote that I always hearken back to. Sometimes when you feel that you're feeling a little low or that things are happening, um, rock bottom. It's a solid foundation to build life on. So life throws us some challenges, some obstacles, some events that can blindside us. And it's how we sometimes can rise above those challenges and those obstacles that define us as individuals and create our strength of character. And when we went through hearing about Sheena's diagnosis, and there are days which are very, very difficult for her, which she also shares openly on her page, and you can see, because she will take an image sometimes of herself and says, "This is what today feels like," and it hits you, because then somewhere in there is that courage to go on and to continue creating, and you're wondering, where does this strength come from? So I'm going to ask her that now. Describe for us lupus. We've heard about it, Sheena. We've heard, that it's a degenerative disease. It's a very painful one, and I know that you're on some strong medication. But what is a day in the life like, and how do you move past that then to create such bright and light and cheerful, inspiring things when you could be creating the opposite, something dark and dreary and grey?
Well, the thing is, let me see. I did a timeline as me as an artist. I guess I could somewhat give a little timeline of me as a lupus warrior. So, when I was 8 or so, primary school, and I saying this just in case parents are listening and want to see any little signs. When I was 8 or so, I had gigantic ulcers in my mouth, huge ulcers, and I was in so much pain. And my parents didn't understand where it was coming from. It was difficult to eat, and and I remember growing up all the time having ulcers all in my mouth, huge ulcers. As a teenager, I guess I urinated blood, and doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. It was scary. I had ultrasounds. I had many tests, and they couldn't find it. And it was like one big mystery. As a young adult, on and off, and have rashes all over my body, and it would hear it's ringworms. Can't figure me out. At the age of 30, I am 36 right now. At the age of 30, one day, I was studying in North Carolina, and my eye saw this blurry white thing, and I was like, what's this? Just in seconds. That same day, my eye went super dry and red, that I was scared that something went wrong with my eye. I went to eye doctors. They say, oh, it's allergies. My eyes started to swell big. People were like, oh, it's just allergies. We can't figure out what it is. As time go by, when I done graduate, now mind you, I studied for 2 years. So in 2015 or so, my eyes were swelling up. So a year of studying, my face started to swell. I come home, it even getting worse. My eyes getting big. And I like, what is going on? I even showed my parents a time my eyes was denting in. And with lupus, it made you look crazy. Because you can't find it at first. And my eye literally dented, and I screamed because I telling them something in this house is killing me. Something. And it's like I look bump, like I'm going off. As time go by, my mouth swell up big, huge, to the point it's painful and I cannot talk. My throat started to tighten every day to the point I had to walk with an EpiPen every day. And I told my mother, bury me in this red dress. I was getting ready for my funeral because I didn't know what was going on no more, and I felt like I was dying. One day, one of my best friends, I will bake she up, Daniel Archer, saw me. Eyes tired, eyes dark. And she said, Sheena, why you don't go to a dermatologist to check your eyes? I said, done. I give up. I don't know what's wrong with me. She said, go and check it. I went to Dr. Bullen. I got other big up friends, Dr. Hillary Moore, Dr. Adrian Richards, and Dr. Jefferson Clark. I will big up all of them because they were getting really concerned about me. And I went to Dr. Bullen, and he was like, let's do some blood tests. And when we did about 12 blood tests, and I asked him one question, would it stop me from doing my art? He said no. I said, good, let's continue. We did the blood test. I asked him, what are you looking for? Because he said my vitamin D was low. I said, what are you looking for? He said, RA, rheumatoid arthritis, or lupus. The first day I cried. And then I asked him again, would it stop my art? He said, no. I said, good. Time go by, 2 days pass, I come back. He said, Sheena, you have lupus. I did not cry. I asked him one more time, would it stop my art? He said, no. I said, good, we good. I did not pray for since then. The pains were there. I went to Dr. Cindy Dr. Flowers. She is my rheumatoid doctor. She confirmed you have lupus. You have ELS lupus. There's different types. I think I pronounced it right. And she told me I gotta take hypochlorine for the rest of my life. And my lupus was very aggressive that time, but she said you need to calm down. One thing about lupus, if you are stressed out, if you are anxious, if you are angry, any sort of form of extreme emotion would flare it up. I'm an artist. I'm a dramatic artist. So how can I be so expressive but gotta be on one line? That was challenging. So I started to learn meditation. Then right there, the pandemic happened. So, of course, everybody anxious, everybody got anxiety, people worrying about money, all kinds of madness. And I got lupus. How can I control all of these heightened emotions but don't get flare up? So I did meditation, I did yoga, I did swimming, I read 36 books in 2020, I did cooking, I did gardening, I did anything to keep me zen. Then from there, I decided to share it publicly because if I have to do even on TV and my face is distorted or I have a flare up, they will excuse me and understand that I'm a lupus warrior. Since I did that announcement, It went viral. People share it. People message me and tell me thank you because they saw it as bravery. To me, I saw it as this is my life. I will share my flare-ups. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm doing this to educate. I'm doing this that you can understand and sympathize. Lupus can be in category of disability too. So I'm also looking at disability. I'm also looking at body image because it can alter your body. With my most recent work, as I asked my doctor, my medicine can also darken my skin. So that is me accepting my new image again. Because when my face was distorted and now gone to my actual face, I had to accept my actual face because it was 4 years of my face being big and swollen. Then now my skin is darkening. There's always some sort of challenge. I I remember when I was in New York and LA, I shared about a flare up. I had a major headache because again, lupus attack any part of the body. Do I fear the worst? Not no more. But I have to urinate on a stick every month to see if my kidneys are good. That's very scary, very nerve wracking. Every month to see if my kidneys are
And this is why I wanted to chat with you, um, especially at this time, because we need all of the inspiration that we can get. And and I've been chatting with people, and people are feeling a little down, and some of them are feeling a lot down and are saying that they're not celebrating Christmas. Christmas, I'm not. And you try to say that, okay, perhaps not the entire season, but in the moment, try to live in the moment and enjoy, because life is challenging and life is short.
yes.
And not making slight of how people feel. I'm just trying to give you ways that you can make those moments better. And that's why I invite people like Sheena, who herself doesn't realize how much she's inspired someone like me. And, and for that, Sheena, I say thank you. I say thank you for the beautiful work that you have brought to dreary existence sometimes. The colors that you choose. There is the latest series, the sport series, which we're going to get a chance to talk about another time, because this is not going to be hopefully your only visit. But I'm going to ask my director to pull up the image of the ladies on horseback, which is the new series that I think you're doing. It's a sports series, so that's where the synchronized swimmers and so on came from. All right.
Yeah.
So there we go, the lady on horseback. And before we go to break, and I ask you to stay a little bit longer near the end, we'll come back to you. But can you just tell us quickly what inspired this?
I can't see the image, so
Oh, sorry, I keep
that,
on forgetting that. Yes, it's that lady with the massive afro who's on the multicolored horse.
yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
So when I did this piece, this was in 2020, during the whole craziness pandemic, and I hear you too, and I could just tell you, if you feel down, pick up a pen and paper, write how you feel. That's you're living. You understand? You're breathing. Live the now. Don't live the future. Don't live the past. Live the now. What are you doing right now? So when I draw, I go into another world. And I try to find ways of how to express myself. This is a black woman on a horse because we don't see ourselves in paintings on horses. So I put a black Caribbean woman on a horse, and a very brave horse, because I like My Little Pony. So she in a field. I read Wicked, which was about the Wizard of Oz and the Wicked Witch, and they were showing her angle of her how she grew up, the Wicked Witch. And I think sometimes we perceive people as, oh, she's a bad person, he's a bad person, but what about the layers? So I created fields, and I created the flies as my own symbols. And then what happened? The flowers are from my garden. The horn is like shouting, like "Brr, brr, 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 here she is." So it's about celebrating. It's about celebrating self. It's about reflecting and acceptance. So this piece, I love this piece. This is actually in Jeanette Mott collection, the director of Pose.
It. Thank you so much, Sheena. Thank you. We're going to have you join us again when we start season 5, because today is going to be our final episode for this particular season. But I'm going to ask you not to go too far away, because I would like to have you join the others perhaps near the end of the show, so we can find out from you about Christmas wishes and New Year wishes. So thank you very much, and we'll be back.
Thank you.
We'll be back after the break. I'm full of quotations today. It seems that way. One of the things that I like to think on is the quotation which says, success is performing to the limit of your potential. Isn't that good? Yeah, think about it. Success is performing to the limit of your potential. So it's limitless as far as I'm concerned. And there is someone who, one, his music I enjoy, two, his voice I enjoy, but I like the way that his mind works. He has a cheeky, that's how I describe it, a cheeky sense of humor and an interesting outlook on life. And in the opening I said, you know, he can tug at your heartstrings and he can also pull at your funny bone, all in one go. I'm talking about musician Alex Cummins. Alex, welcome to the Link Up. It's lovely to have you here with us today. How are you?
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm doing pretty good. A little bit,
Hmm.
you know how it is. This is Christmas Eve, so
I thank you for
everyone
spending
else
it
is
with
running
me.
around. No, love it. This
So,
is great.
talk to me. Today has
Yeah.
been an inspiring one. I don't know if you got an opportunity to hear some of the ball of energy that is Sheena. Um,
Yes, I did.
isn't she
She has actually,
inspiring? She's amazing.
funny enough, she's one of the people. Now she's gonna know this. This was something I planned to do for my Facebook posts for next year, which was letting some of the local people know how much they're inspiring other people, because
Exactly.
I find we don't know.
No.
We don't know. And a lot of singers also, like people from, say, generations above us who are still around playing, I don't think they understand that we do see them the way we see a lot of American superstars. They don't realize that when I run into you know, a Gabby or Alan Shepard or Red Plastic Bag, I do get that starstruck thing all the time. I never get used to it. So, um, Sheena's one of these people that I've actually been watching her in my worst periods of anxiety. I used to go on her page, her Facebook page, just to watch her posts, just because of her passion for her art. That was what I always envied on some level. Yeah, I'll use the word envy of Sheena, was her focus on her art. It was the fact that so much stuff was going on and around her, and she kept her focus, working hard on this new project. She's amazing. Anyway,
No, it's all right. You've been very honest as well, Alex, and I may respond cheekily back sometimes to some of the things you might post. I enjoy teasing you. Um, but, and I have a silly sense of humor, so that's a given.
right.
But you do too. Yeah, I might not respond or say something, but I've read it and
Mhm.
I've recognized that, like everyone, there is always something, happening in
Right.
people's lives at some time, and sometimes it can hit you for six. Today, I'm calling this show Celebrating Life. That's today's theme. And
Love it.
life in all of its many facets. It doesn't have to always be good or great or, successful. Life is light and dark, color and
True.
black and white, gray. Life is a mixture of all those things. That's what makes it so fascinating. And so today we celebrate it, whatever it is. So talk to me
What?
about Alex and his views on life. I know that it comes a lot from the spiritual side of you. So before we talk about the musical side, this is part of what shapes you as an individual. And you can share as much or as little as you want. I'm just basically being nosy.
Um, okay, well, you would have known that a lot of my writing on Facebook, some of it was based on race and stuff like that. Um, the truth is, though, when it comes to my outlook, I'm a bit of an anti-traditionalist on some level. What I mean by that is deep down inside, in terms of viscerally how I feel when I walk down the road, race, religion, gender, but especially race and religion don't really mean that much to me. You know what I mean? What I mean by that is I believe it's important for everybody to be proud of whoever they are. So I expect you to be proud of yourself. I expect you to like the complexion that you're in. I expect you to like well, to a certain extent, the body that you're in. But you know what I mean? It's yours. You love it, and then you work with it. Um, as far as overall, though, general outlook, my thing here is that I want people to work at listening more, I think. And as you said, living in the gray a little bit more, I find that people who are either extremely privileged or extremely underprivileged tend to live in the black and white. It's very easy,
Yeah.
to just be this or that because it's easy. When you can afford to do something, it's easy to say, I would never do that or I would never do this because you've never really had to. Um, but what I have found, especially in the last few months in my life, with all the big life changes I've been going through, is that most of life is in the gray. Most of it is in the gray. So, um, my general outlook is balance. And what I love about it is that every time I get to a new point in my life, I keep coming back around to my Buddhism. I keep coming back. I read a lot of other spiritual stuff, but for some reason, every time I get to some sort of ground zero and I have this one thing that still rings true, it's always some words of the Buddha. There's always something that he said that's gone, I told you I was right all along. So um, my main, yeah. So if there was going to be any one person though that I do think is probably 100% true in everything would be that gentleman. And
Yeah.
as you know, that's a fairly irreverent religion compared to others from time to time. So I
Why
guess it
is
kind of
it
fits well with you, right?
why is it irreverent though? Do
When I say that, I mean from coming from a Judeo-Christian background. If you were looking at traditionally, they priests, Buddhists tend to be a little bit more chummy chummy in their language sometimes with when they're talking about the Buddha or if they're talking about somebody who's supposed to be very religious, very
Mhm.
spiritual, or a big figure. Um, and you just have to take, like, I mean, if you take a cursory glance like through YouTube and just call up a Buddhist monk somewhere along the line, he'll say something that you'll find slightly bordering on the edge of being inappropriate. Not necessarily in a vulgar way, but they tend to be very, there's one guy that came up and he just said, he started a Buddhist lecture by saying, I've been studying Buddhism for so many years and now I'm beginning to look like him. And he grabbed his pot. And that's acceptable. That's not considered, irreverent because
Uh-huh.
that's kind of the way he was when he was alive also. He was a little
Right.
bit like that also. So,
But I
um,
don't know a lot about it. I
yeah.
do plan, though, to read up about it because I have found that there are certain aspects of it, which, as you mentioned, the word Zen. Well, no, you didn't mention it. Sheena did Zen. Um,
Yes, she did. Yes.
and I love linkages, don't you? Especially unplanned
Yes.
ones. But and for me, 2022 needs to be Zen. And I think for a lot of us, it needs to be Zen. We need to find that still small point in this turning universe. And it's not original. T.S. Eliot said it best. Um, and so, yes, I think that calming space. And I always associate Buddhism with that. So we're going to chat a little bit
You do?
more about it because we got to
Yes.
take a
Yes.
break.
Yes.
But don't let me
Yes.
forget
No
that
problem.
that's what I said we're going to talk about when we come back. Okay, so let's take a break. And
Okay.
when we come back, Zen. Breathe. Breathe.
Zen.
Let's breathe. just love my director. No, seriously, Ruel is an excellent member of the team. And he tells me, just as the commercial break is coming to an end, he says, stand by, remember you're talking about Zen. Thank you, because I had
Yes.
completely forgotten what I was going to start back with. I'm telling you, in those few seconds, because my mind is going all over the place, he has just brought me back down to base. So thank you, Ruel. Alex, it happens. It happens.
You
And you know, you're trying to think and go through so many different things
Oh,
that you
yeah.
forget. So he brought me back down to base. So the whole idea though of
Mhm.
of calm, of being
Yeah.
centered, where did that come from within the
Um,
Buddhist concept?
okay, yeah, and I wanna expand on that because the thing about the whole Zen and Buddhism, we tend to have the Buddhism that we say to the rest of the world, like a form of export,
Uh-huh.
and then the real dirty, deep down gritty thing, right? You gotta remember the Buddha is a man who literally just decided to go off into the wilderness and experiment on himself. So remember that majority of the stuff we're using in cognitive behavioral therapy now does come from the Buddha. It doesn't, I don't mean this in a religious way, I mean this in a historical way. The
Really?
actual act of breathing and watching your breath is specifically from the Satipatthana Sutra. It might have been practiced in India before, it was practiced in Hinduism before, but in terms of the reason why you know it now is because specifically of the Buddha. It
Right.
got through Western, and then you had all your soccer moms, and because a lot of privileged people got into Buddhism and it became popular, and then it got into psychotherapy, whatever. But the actual act of doing that was a man who literally did it. And so a lot of the stuff he's telling you is an actual path, like physical stuff. So a lot of it has its base in science. But what I will say about the whole Zen calm thing is that a lot of people will use meditation to get calmer, which it does temporarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the real reason you're doing meditation and the real thing about Zen is a little bit grittier than that. A lot of Zen masters are not walking around necessarily feeling happy on the inside. What they're doing is that they're not letting, it's weird, but just bear with me here. It's not how you
Okay.
feel, it's not how you feel, it's how you feel about how you feel that
Come
manifests in
again.
the world. So
Come again. It's
so
not how
it's
you
not how you feel,
feel, it's about how you
it's your
feel.
reaction to your feeling. It's how you
Mm-hmm.
fight it. It's how you struggle against it. So I say something that upsets you. When you start screaming at me, it's not just the anger. You felt the anger already. It's the fact that you can't get rid of it. It's the fact that I did it to you. It's the fact that how did I let this other person upset me? It's all the things you think around it that really get you angry and then you flare up. So can you sit with your feelings and bear them? You need to put on a straight face. I'm saying if the tears want to fall right now, can you just let them fall? Can you let whatever's flying through your mind happen without stopping it, but without encouraging it and moping either? It's about standing there and going and literally just watching them, letting them go and come. Because after a while, you build up a separation in your thoughts. You build up a separation between yourself and these feelings that come up immediately. So you're not called away. You're not trying to be stoic, but you're not being pulled at every single impulse you get. So it
But
starts small and it goes that way. So life doesn't always get perfect. You might see someone, they might do something to anger you, but you recognize that they anger you. You start to think more about why. I mean, they might be wrong, yes, but
mm-hmm.
somebody else might have walked right past and not cared. So you have to say, what is in me now? Because I mean, at the end of the day, you're living with yourself. So the more, it's not about moral saying, I should look at my faults more. In Buddhism, that's the other thing. Buddhism is more practical than moral. Even the things that sound moral, the
Mm-hmm.
reason behind them are not as moral as people think they are. So I think that's why a lot of people tend to look at Buddhism as the religion that they think they can kind of get away with anything goes, because it's not hard and fast rules. But the part that hurts them when the honeymoon is over is when they realize that, the whole idea of looking at yourself is, practically speaking, who else are you going to be walking with? Like, I can guarantee that I'm going to be with me today, you know, at 9:07 p.m. tonight, wherever I am, I can't guarantee who's going to be around me. I don't know who's going to be obnoxious, who's going to be nice. I don't know. So it would be best, it would be my best interest when I have a situation where someone has said something to me or done something to me and it's upset me. What is more important to me is why I got upset.
But you
It doesn't
see,
matter if the person just left the house to be terrible, but my point is, what am I going to do with that information? If I say he's terrible, okay, but I might not see him for the rest of the year. It's never going to come on a test. It doesn't help me. It doesn't even help me with the next guy. But what might help me is why I reacted to that, because this is what I'm moving around with all the time. So if I
okay,
can fix this, I can deal with
so
anything out there.
after you work out that, Alex, that
Yeah.
the person
Yes.
upset
Hmm.
you,
Yes.
but that is not, you're saying to me, what I really and truthfully, I should be interested in why I got upset at being
Hmm.
upset from what they said to me or did to me
Well, no.
or whatever.
Well,
Is that what you're
oh,
saying? Because I
I
can
got
tell
you.
you, I know
So,
why I'm upset because you said
no,
it.
the idea is that yes, I know. Exactly. People no, but what I'm saying is we already know. We already know that people will do obnoxious things. People will say obnoxious things. We know this right now. Okay? So you can leave indoors where you are and you can go outside and someone can literally walk down the road with the sole intent of just being difficult for whatever reason.
Right.
So my point is that is going to happen. So but the thing about Buddhism is that you got to remember the central with all of the types of Buddhism, the central tenets to Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths. So the very first thing about Buddhism says life is suffering. Okay? Now it's not suffering in the dramatic sense that we say in English, but the Sanskrit word for it means any kind of discomfort. So the idea is the reality is the minute you eat your food, there's a countdown to when you get hungry again. It's not a permanent fix, right? When you sleep, you're going to be tired another time. The point is that is and you accept that is a type of suffering that comes with your body, and you deal with it. You don't complain and say, well, I have to eat again or I have to keep sleeping all the time. Same thing with earning money and that kind of stuff. So the idea is recognize the reality of the world. There are always going to be obnoxious people. There's nothing to solve there or figure out.
All right.
Someone is going to come and do it again to you again. Someone will lie to you. Someone will try to cheat you. There are people like that in the world. You are not, you will come across them. And also, but the thing is, people will love you and there are going to be people that you can trust. So the idea here is you need to work on this unit and you want to get to know yourself so intimately that even if someone came down the road and said something to you on purpose to piss you off, even if you started to get pissed off, your next thought, because this is before it manifests, when you feel it, your next thought is like, okay, you might even find yourself laughing because you actually know why it triggers you. Like, yeah, he's an ass, he shouldn't have said it, or he's an idiot, he shouldn't have said it. But you in yourself, you're in your own thoughts, having your own closer relationship with yourself. Going, that's why that used to trigger me because so and so. I always tell people a good example is looking at that guy House. Remember on the show where somebody be
Yes.
insulting him
Yes.
and they'd give him remember they'd give him maybe the answer to something because he wavelength. He knew that they were being obnoxious. He knew they were being trying. He probably felt in his head, what an idiot
Right.
at the same time. So yeah, the reaction I'm talking about is when somebody gets upset. Like you said, I go, I know why they did it. All of your emotion or your action now is basically putting them in a place. But
Right.
what I'm saying is when they go, they already didn't value you. As far as I'm concerned, within your life, they're kind of, So the only thing you can really get out of this of any value is to get to know yourself better. And as people do, but how are you going to know yourself better if you don't put yourself in different situations? Because a lot of it you can't enact yourself. You need outside stimulus.
Okay.
You need to have an obnoxious reason just peeing you off because you need to find out how resilient you are because there's someone else that's going to walk right past them. Someone else is going to look at them and be amused. I mean, directly, like seriously amused. They're going to laugh. They're going to make jokes. They're going to even some of them insult themselves more and make fun of it. So what I'm saying is your specific response still, even though it's rational, you just want to know why. It's not a judgment thing. It's that you're here to find out more about yourself.
It's a wonderful time to talk about this, and I know some people say, "Well, it's Christmas Eve," and you're celebrating the birth of Jesus and so on. But if you really and truthfully study what his path was and what his journey was, you recognize that he was accepting of all. He was brought to save all. Will he save all? We have the freedom of choice, our own free will. So one never knows. But the thing that
Right.
I keep on coming up against is at this particular time, this Christmas, living mindfully in Christmas of 2021, we are facing a pandemic, and I'm not going to say a global pandemic because it's a pandemic, so it's global. But that's just me being picky. But we are facing a pandemic. We are facing the roughest time in my personal time here on the planet. Yeah, back in the 70s, we had the gas crisis and cars backed up all around the roads trying to get to gas stations to get a little gas. Yeah, I am a dinosaur. But I remember those days. But I've never
Right.
seen the entire world brought to a halt almost. I didn't even think that such a thing was possible. And now we're in a time of hopefully getting over this particular hump. The hump that we've just
Right.
with Delta and the resurgence and the loss of life. And for me, we need to find some kind of center, some space where we can breathe. And for me,
Yeah.
the creatives are the ones who bring that into being. The
Thank you.
musicians, the music, the artists. Um, Unfortunately, I couldn't get a poet with me today, but this is what I wanted to focus on. And the things which ground you all, which give you all inspiration, which give you all life, and hopefully by osmosis we can take what inspires and strengthens you and put it in our world and just for a little bit receive some kind of breath and pause and life and inspiration, if that makes sense. All that I shared
Definitely does.
in that bit. Yeah?
It's like a bomb, you know.
I'm losing you.
BB King always
I'm
says it
not
best.
hearing you at all now for some reason.
Hello? You hear
Yes.
me? Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, I
Okay.
said it's
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Go
it's
ahead.
like a bomb. It really is. And BB King definitely described it best. He said when he first heard his music, his blues, and he got into it, he said it felt soothing. There was something that he said his exact analogy was it's like if you have a toothache and somebody gives you something just to soothe it, the pain a little bit. He said that's how he felt growing up every time he heard blues music. So
Yeah.
just being on stage all the time did that for him, which makes sense because he was that person um,
Right.
to run through.
Well, let's talk about your music and your time on stage when we come back from the break, Alex. Let's talk about
Okay.
music, what inspires you, and what are your who are your favorite artists and why. So we'll find out that when we come back.
All right. Okay.
We're celebrating life today on the Link Up. From the inspiration of the challenges in her life with Sheena Rose, contemporary artist, to the thoughts on life and spirituality from musician Alex Cummins. Now, Alex, before the break, I did mention that I wanted to talk about your music and the inspiration for it. And where did it all begin for you and the whys, you know? Those kinds of questions. So let's go back. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get involved in music and why?
Oh, I was 11, maybe going on 12. This was the end of first form, and I came home, and it was around Christmas, so it was like near the, I guess, the end of the, no, yeah, it was, no, second form, end of the first term, and I came across James Galway,
Ah,
famous flautist. He's still up.
flautist.
Um, he's the reason I started wanting to learn to read and write music. So he was playing this big concerto. He had the choir behind him, the little boys choir. But there was something about the sound of the flute, and I've got this obsession with silver. Like I've never been crazy about gold as a in general, and jewelry, whatnot. And I remember thinking this thing looks so pretty and the sound. And then Zamfir had the pan flutes at the same time, the 1-800, the infomercials, and all of that. I just went, I want to do that for the rest of my life. So that's actually what got me into it. Um, so we couldn't afford a flute at the time. We got a rental from the school. I confused Janice Millington Robertson, saying, I want to start this. But we always got along. Like I was one of the few students that I liked her style. She was actually one of the few teachers at my school that I liked. I really liked her. So it was like she's kind of cool. And then I heard that and I went, no, this is amazing. Went back to her and she gave me the, oh really? So you want to do it? And I was like, yes. So I started with flute and I got pretty much obsessed with that to the point where um, and I will say this one publicly because this will probably absolutely drive my mom crazy in a serious way. So you got to do at least one thing disgusting for. I know, I mean, this is going to just drive the family crazy, but in second form, you have a blue card. You have these cards which were, midterms for your grades.
Uh-huh.
And I went from having normal grades. When I got my flute, I went to I think I had something like a E was like under 40% and a D was 40 to 49% and an A was 80% to 100. And I think I had something like two A's, music and Spanish, and then the rest were like E's. But there were E's with
Seriously,
fours
Alex?
and then three extra red marks, yeah. So then I had to go to the headmaster and all that, and I just didn't care. I had my flute. But then it hit me, wait a minute, if I get kicked out of school or I get kicked out on the street, I won't be able to play flute. So between second form and fourth form, everything in my life was based on, does this have anything to do with flute music or not? So I started doing my lessons. I did my the next year. I told Miss Robertson I would do the grade three. I wanted to jump. She says there's no way you can do that because we want you to have at least one distinction, and you didn't get one for grade one. It looks more prestigious. You want to have more students having. And I said, well, just get a distinction at grade three. At which point she said, well, you can't do it. I insisted on doing the exam. She eventually let me do it. I was up. I was at her house in Dover on Sundays. I remember Miles, the little 6 year old and like little toddler running around with me and like keeping him quiet while she's doing something else and that kind of stuff. But I would come home and I would go 7 to 10, just play scales and studies and practice all my handle pieces. And if there was, and then if I felt like doing homework after, I would do it or not. But that was not really important. Um, Saturdays I would just play all day. 12 would I would take a 12 off for lunch, and I had it structured so an hour for studies, and that's all I did. One empty room, just play, and I was happy. Then I went into the National Orchestra for a brief stint, but then things were getting so bad that mom was like, "No, you can't do all of that." So she pulled me out of that. So I stayed with the ensemble, and we went right up. Somewhere around 15, 16 was when I picked up the guitar. But rock music was something I always loved.
Have
So
you
I knew I
ever
was going to
gone
do
back
it,
to the
but I
flute
for
though?
granted.
I'm curious. And did you get the distinction in grade 3? I told you I'm
Yes, I did.
nosy. Okay, well done.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And she, yes, I got it. And I remember Miss Robertson told me it by giving me a really hard slap. And so I always say to Harazonians that talk about how hard and tough she was, it's like, y'all got it easy. Y'all were not like her babies that were about to go on stage where her reputation was on the line. I said,
Right.
imagine how she was with us. But the difference is, I guess we were made out of different material. I wouldn't say we were tougher. I would not say that because there are plenty of other teachers at school that broke me and gave me tons of trauma that didn't seem to affect anybody else, the majority of other people. So maybe I'm very neurodivergent in some weird way. But I remember my uncle, I don't think was supposed to tell me, but she told him, right? I think what her words were somewhere along the line was basically, you know this, insert Jack, right?
Right.
Um, when I got a distinction for real,
Wow.
because there were times I'd be outside her music room, like maybe chatting with a girl or something. She's like, "You're not supposed to be practicing." I was like, "Nah, I good man. I got talent, you know." That's how I would talk to her when no one was wrong. If she would tell me, "Did you practice today?" I said, "You know who I am." I say like that.
Wow.
She would just roll her eyes and leave. So people never saw that side of her. But that's
Uh-huh.
how I used to talk, you know. But she pushed me. She pushed me. I got the distinction. I I got into the music room. She's sitting at her piano. I could see it plain as day. She said, "Come here a second," and I came right next to her. And this woman ring a slap in the small of my back, and I would never forget it. Slim and looked at me and said, "My dear ass," in those exact words.
But you know,
You know you went and you went
you
and got a distinction. And I said, "So why are you displeased?" She was like, "Because you are never supposed to have me doubting you and then go and do it. You put me under undue stress and you were supposed to
there.
practice song before and you were never supposed to skip this and never da, 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 da. I was supposed to be sure that you know this distinction." I wasn't sure. I said, "But I was." And she rolled her eyes and said,
And
"Alex, get out, get out. Just
you
just
know,
leave." I said, "Okay,
that I
we have
think,
band practice
Alex,
tomorrow.
not
No
crossing
problem."
you, but I am. So it's a
Yes.
really silly statement. But I think that was why she slapped you more than anything else because you made her doubt. And I've heard so many people who have revered her as a teacher and a mentor, like John Roy. You know, y'all gave
Yeah.
that poor woman stress. You know, but she was
Yes, we did.
also so proud, so proud
I
of
was
you.
aware I was giving her stress while I was doing it though, so I
Yeah,
always liked her. That's why I
yeah.
never complained. I was like, no, no, no. I this woman. But you know what? She never. One thing I would always say to, and I say this specifically to other Arizonians who didn't have this, experience, is that regardless of what you thought of her, if you had even tried it out, she never said no to anybody who needed any kind of help or instruction with music. And a few people got an inkling of that when they went to ask her. They would say, music teachers don't answer you if you come to them at lunchtime about a recorder, which you're going to screech through and probably throw away at the end of second form. But she took everything about music seriously because it was music. You see what I mean? She set
Yes.
that example. So when you came and what she taught me about, and a part of the reason why she was very rough was because she was also in a school that is traditionally very based on academics within a society that is based on academics, where when you say you went to Harrison College, people go, "Ooh," and now they want to be further impressed by you saying you're a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, right? Um, which is funny because most of our top musicians do come from Harrison College from the past. A lot of them,
Right.
or I shouldn't say most, a lot of them do. Like we've contributed a lot to music. I mean, and I don't know if anybody has gone there, but I don't know if it's still there, but I know in the music room, in my time, we had a paint job while I was there where she had all the names of past Arizonians painted up on the banner of the wall. So when you walk into the music room, you have to, because you're facing the door. So when you walk into the music room, you get in, you turn around, get in your seat, and when you look up, there's a big kind of like mural, and it has all of, and that's how I learned who went to Harrison College.
Right.
because she had Alan Shepard up, she had she put up Nicholas Branker, we saw Adrian Boo husbands, and all of them, Kids Sight, all of them are. I don't know if they're still there, but it was there all through.
I hope
It
it's
was done
still
while I
there.
was there.
Perhaps somebody
So
can
yeah.
write in and let us know if it's still there.
But she would never refuse you. I came to her Sunday, okay, albeit I was supposed to practice for her that Friday at school. And this was now a different exam. This was a grade 5 exam, which was the next year. I skipped it. It wasn't anything special. I got like a merit or whatnot. But the idea was that I wanted to get to my grade 5 in 3 years and not 5 years. So so the next year I said, can I do grade 5? And she looked at me like, and I remember Miss Cynthia Austin was there like, wait a minute, da 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 da. And she was surprised that Miss Robertson just signed the form. I went, just get out my face, man. We have practice next week. Because she was like, I can't deal with this boy. He's gonna go and he's gonna do it anyway. And like, just go. So, but I remember the last week of practice, there was something critical she wanted me to look at, and she was like, we have to do this on Friday. And on the Friday, when she wanted to do it, I was playing. And mind you, I'm not ducking out from her when I'm being a delinquent. I decided that I wanted to play guitar because I was learning some new guitar chords and I wanted to learn how to play Losing My Religion from REM. That was important at the time. So I was sitting there, but guess where I decided to practice? Right next to her, where her car was parked, in front of the music room, on a chair under the nice tree because it was comfortable.
Uh-huh.
So she passed by a few steps. So she's been looking for me everywhere in the first break to walk, to see me sitting next to her car right by the music room. And she's like, do you know that we had a meeting that I said, oh my God, I totally forgot which I did. Um, because this guitar already had me. I was like, you know how it is, music. You know how we creatives is be. Oh Lord, she looked at me and she just left and she was like, well, you know what? You're on your own for this exam. Do not call me. Do not whatever, whatever. So you know what I did? I called her. But being a teenager and not being very emotionally intelligent, this part I don't brag about. I feel very bad about, but I ended up. I think I got my uncle to call her because Adrian. She knew Adrian, and when he talked to her, she was like, "Oh, all calm." And anyhow, he got a meeting, and I went up to her house that Sunday morning, sometime just before 7 in Dover, to sit down and practice skills that she had been telling me that I needed to practice, or something that we needed to practice during the week. And she opened the door. She saw me. She opened the door, turned around, walked right back to her. Like she said, just turned around, walked back to the piano,
Mm-hmm.
sat down, and pulled out some book and went like this. I went 1, 2, 3, 4 and started the piece I was supposed to be playing, saying, "Why the hell are you not here? Why are you standing up out there? You daydreaming? Let me go. You wasting my time." Because I come there for Sunday, so her idea is we ain't here to exchange pleasantries. You're taking up my time. Do your practice and go. And she was very professional. She gave me exactly everything I needed. We sat, we did notes, and she didn't look at me, eye contact with me once. She didn't smile at me once. I tried to make a little joke or something, and she just went on to the next thing. And when I was done, she was like, I said, "Oh, this is everything you need." She says, "Are you absolutely sure? Is there anything else you need?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, get out my house." And I was gone.
Wow. That's
But she never,
amazing.
but she never refused, never ever said no if you needed help for anything for music.
I'll tell
Never.
you, Sonia Williams, you know, one of the great theatre directors and thespians locally, she shouted you up on Facebook. So
So
she's
yeah.
enjoying the chat. Nice to have her, join
Okay.
us today. But I'm going to just take a quick break. And when we come back, I just wanted to find out from you, one, did you walk with the guitar? Remember, I had
You
asked
done
you.
know.
Thank you.
You
So,
know. You
can
know
we
how we
hear
roll.
some?
We're
Thank
gonna do
you.
a nice soft rock, nice,
Uh
nice
huh.
melodious kind of
I'm
love
going
song.
to
We just keep it light
enjoy
and
that. Let's do that when we come back.
no.
Okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're celebrating life. And we are celebrating life with musician Alex Cummins. And I would love you to just sit back right now, wherever you are. We're going to just breathe, as we celebrate his musical stylings and his voice. Looking forward to this, Alex. So go right ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm gonna do a song for you. It's called Fields of Gold. You remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You forget the sun in its jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love upon the fields of barley? You can tell the sun in its jealous sky as we walk in fields of gold. See the west wind move like a lover's sword upon the fields of barley. Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold. We never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken. And I swear, in the days still left, we'll walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down among the fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in its jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. Thank
I love
you.
it. And
By
as
Sting.
always, I love your
Yes.
voice as well. I always tell you that.
Phew.
You know, um,
Yes. I
yes,
appreciate it.
you
See.
play the guitar amazingly, but there's always something about your voice that I like. And I
I
also
want to
like the
add,
fact that your genre, is not like kaiso and all of that. It takes us past that.
that's hard though. That's
Yeah.
hard. That's a tough one to maintain that because there's so many people that assume so many things. People come and go, oh, I guess you're learning these songs for us because we're British. I'm like, no, I'm just a weirdo. I like this stuff.
Well, they
This is
figured
what I
that we
listen
didn't
to.
know who Sting was. I mean,
I think they figure that as a musician, their profile is that you're a musician, you probably play everything, and you probably learn these songs because you appreciate them. I think what shocks them is the fact that when they get into talk, they realize oh, this stuff is in my blood a little bit more than it is in theirs. They realize this is the soundtrack to my life. Yes, this is the stuff I actually was getting ready to when I was going out dating
Right.
as a teenager. It was Guns N' Roses and Metallica. It was not
Police.
Boyz II Men
Right.
or
It was
boy.
the
I know, you
police.
know how
And
I know Boyz II Men and the road because I know who was knocked off. I know what R&B group was knocked off by the rock groups because I remember in the 90s R&B was the most popular thing. So when rock blew up, I remember knowing, oh yeah, Boyz II Men, End of the Road, right. Chili Peppers, Under the Bridge knocked that off for number one.
oh
That's terrible,
wow.
but that's
Oh wow. Well, I
that's how I
happen
remember.
to be a Boys to Men fan, so
No, no, I
I
love
was
boys. I
not
love them
happy
too,
when they got knocked
but
off. But that
I
doesn't
wasn't
mean
happy,
that I
but
wouldn't
I'm saying that
enjoy
was
Chili
my
Peppers as well.
but I'm saying that was my association
I
with them in my
understand.
teen years because I
I
was so
understand.
oh, and you know there
Listen,
was Rock of
you
the
want to
Ages,
know what
Christine
music
Barnes. Oh,
does to a person? It makes
yeah.
them so cocky. Like every single year on my birthday, I shout and scream about the song that Earth, Wind, and Fire wrote for me. Do you remember the
Remember
21st night, September?
you? Yes,
They know me
dude,
from Adam, but
Joe.
I will forever
Mhm.
say that that was written for me.
You are so right. Yes, yes. You're so
Music
right.
is universal, but more than that, music is personal, and that's what makes it so special. And like art, it is one of the things that can move you and literally cause all those heartstrings to vibrate. Now, I understand Sheena's back with us. Sheena, are you back? Can we see and hear you? Alex said something at the beginning,
Yeah.
which I think you should know. You know, is she back with us, guys? I'm not sure. Okay,
I'm here.
there you
I'm
are.
here.
There you are. There you are. Fantastic.
Sheena,
So,
no, 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 I'm nervous now. No, I'm even more nervous now.
I wasn't nervous.
I was playing it real cool up to this point. You know, you put Sheena right in front of me, like, no, I'm like,
yeah, I
nah.
do things like
How
that.
you doing?
At the beginning, when we were talking,
Wow.
Alex said something about I wouldn't give it up, Alex. You can tell her yourself.
This is to do with Sheena specifically?
And
Yes.
and
Yes, I
when you
actually,
were
yeah,
feeling
in
low,
my, yeah, in some really, really low times and also times of extreme anxiety also and maybe a little bit of depression, I had a practice of going on Facebook specifically to go and basically stalk your page and just to read random posts. It didn't matter if I knew what it was about, it didn't matter if it was technical. And as I said, envy is a bad word to use, but it's the truth. It's what I felt. I envied your attitude to your work. And the
Mm,
reason being is, as I said to Peta earlier, when I talked about that whole flute thing, about how I would practice and how the whole world kind of revolved around that when I was on a project, that is what
mm,
I have just started to get back in the last 2 or 3 months. And I've been working on it for years. The first person I started reading from, I think, was a lady, Ada Easy Evening, when she was going through her depression. I was watching her Instagram posts. But with you, I started reading them. I started doing it as like a daily thing. I would get up, meditate,
oh,
whatever, go read Sheena's post. I even called some artists about it and said, I
wow.
specifically, do you know about this lady? Because I like, it was your dedication. It was the fact that even before I knew of the lupus and all of that, it was the fact that a lot of stuff was going on. There were arguments going this way next. My anxiety was picking up on every single thing on Facebook
Mm.
before I focused it down to one set of bad behavior. Um, but before I focused it, it was all over the place. And but reading your post actually gave me a lot of focus. And you had this kind of like, if the world is gonna fall around me and I can't do anything about it, but I am able to paint one more piece, I'll do it. Whereas I had that crippling kind of anxiety and depression where I was like, the last thing I'm gonna do is play guitar when I feel upset. And
Get
I think it
you.
was reading your stuff where I realized you don't have to feel great to play guitar because guitar is never going to make you feel worse. You know what I mean? Never.
The,
So,
the, 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 yeah, Alex,
yeah.
thank you for that. I love your post too, as Peter mentioned before. The funny bone, you know what I mean? And to be honest, I did saw it. I already texted you. I'm like, Alex! And I just type on your face, but what? This sure got a great name, The
Yes.
Link. Look how you up, you know? So,
All right then.
no
Yeah,
man.
correct.
So, I mean, Alex, you have such a brave, bold sense of humor, though. Like, I'd be like, Alex, you're not scared somebody gonna pick a rock at you? You know what I mean? So I mean, like, I just heard you dissing off boys and men just now there too. You know, Peter, I don't
No, I
understand
had
that.
this. Wait,
So
wait, wait, wait. No, no. Like I had it. That's why I had to get real precise about my words, though. Like, and I talking through the window of a teenager that, yeah,
Yeah.
just coming
But
home and changing to his music to go meet some girl. But
the
yeah.
thing that I like about this,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
wanted the last show for the season to be one of celebration, and not just celebrating the good and the beautiful, but also acknowledging that our lives, can have trials. And today is Christmas Eve, and people will be making today a trial, trying to get everything done. And I'm just hoping that within this space, they get an opportunity to take a look at themselves, perhaps see themselves in what we're talking about, and to have a chuckle, and also to realize that, enjoy the moment. Even if it's just
Yeah.
30 seconds, a minute, or 5 minutes, enjoy the moments, because this moment will not come again.
Exactly.
And
it's,
go ahead.
I mean, thank you, Alice, for that. You're
Yeah.
not the first, but I felt honored and I felt flattered when you said that, because people did message me and told me that whenever they're down, they are as I said, they would look to see what I'm going to say. And to me,
Yeah.
I always I always see like you're living. Like once I got a pen or paper, if I sad or down or happy, whatever, all of us go through trials and errors. All of us are human. So when I say, oh my panty, I got dig up my panty, people be like, you said that? And I'm like,
I remember that. I was
so
cheering
I
for it.
mean like what I always ask
Yes.
why people are so scared. What are you scared of? Just say what you gotta say.
Well,
Yes.
You
I
know?
know I'm scared of censors. There's the.
Yes. Yes. Sorry. Sorry.
No,
Oops.
that's okay.
I know I
That's
might have
okay.
said it.
We've been
Okay.
good. We've been good.
I
That's
said no
that's
four-letter
my
words. I said a
that's
three-letter
my
word
fear
once,
as a
but
broadcaster. No, lucky for
yeah,
you,
fair.
some of the words that you used have been brought into the broadcast vernacular, thanks to
Oh,
international
I know.
television. But that's that's what I'm scared of. But yeah, no, I'm only teasing. I'm only teasing. But
Um,
we've got something like, oh my goodness, like 5 minutes left. The morning has flown. I would like to make an apology on behalf of NEESHA.
yeah,
NEESHA tried her best, but she's been stuck in traffic, and
Chris,
I can
outside
imagine.
is crazy,
Yeah.
everyone rushing to do the last minute. So NEESHA, please be careful, please be safe, and don't worry about it. We'll get an opportunity to chat again. We will play your Christmas song to take us out a little in a couple of minutes, but for now, guys, let's just talk about the importance of this season, whatever
Mhm.
it means to you. And to my viewers and so on, you have the opportunity to tell them, give them good wishes and so on from your heart, whatever you feel. Any bit of
Well,
advice you'd
this,
like to share. So Sheena, would you like to go
well,
first?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Alice, you wanna go? You could go.
No, no, that's fine.
Oh,
I listened.
I would just,
Yeah.
oh, I would just
Mhm,
say first thing, Merry Christmas. Happy
mhm,
holidays for those who don't celebrate Christmas either, or happy day. I know it have been a very strange 2 years, been very rough year. We've been through a lot. And I would just say again, you have your family. If you don't have family, you have friends. If you don't have friends, you have associates and you have yourself. And I would say take it easy. Don't beat up yourself. Take one step at a time. Look in the mirror. I know sometimes it's very hard for people to look at themselves and say, you done your best. And say to yourself, I love you, and hug yourself. You live in this body. I live in a body that malfunction and unpredictable at times. I don't want to lay down there and feel sorry for myself, so I try to do something to distract myself in a good way. So I would say to you, take it easy. Right now, I know some people can't afford this, some people lost loved ones or whatever, but the best thing you could give yourself is a smile, hug yourself, and take it easy. That's your gift to yourself. Happy holidays.
mhm. Yeah, so everybody, Merry Christmas. And as we said earlier, I mean, and Sheena just mentioned it also, explained it beautifully, which is, you are with you. And as I said earlier on the show, I know who I'm going to be with at 9:07 p.m. tonight. I'm either going to be with Alex or dead. I don't know about anybody else. So, like we said, you're going to be around people. I just want to say you're going to be around a lot of people today, especially who are going to rub you the wrong way, and you have to understand that is going to happen till the day you die. They're always there. They're not going anywhere. But guess what? The only person you're with 24/7 is you. Use this time to build up a better relationship with yourself. It will help with your relations with other people. Also, use Christmas generally. I know people call about, oh, you shouldn't be, but use Christmas as a way of starting to reassess your values. Look at what you're spending your money on. Go get involved in the rush. Do it, but observe it now honestly as you're doing it and get to know yourself and see how you value stuff. Are you
I
spending a lot of
love
money
it.
on somebody because, you know, they're
Yes.
angry at you, or are you doing it genuinely? So just get
And
to know yourself
what
this Christmas.
he's
But Merry
talking about
Christmas. Love
is
you all.
what he's talking about is teachable moments, learning from what's happening around us. And yes, it's been a rough year, but if you're hearing my voice and seeing us today, it means that you're alive. So I want you to continue to live in gratitude. Give thanks for every moment that you have to take advantage of opportunities. And life has them. We've just got to look for them and connect. Connect with your family this Christmas. And from me, my team, from Sheena and Alex, we'd like to wish you and your family the safest and most wonderful Christmas ever. Take care. God bless. See you for season 5, hopefully in February. Love
Yes.
to you all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And now, to take us up, here is NEESHA WOODZ from her latest album. And it's just going to be a little bit, but we're going to hear.
Merry Christmas! Hey, Auntie. Hey, Uncle. Merry Christmas, man.
Uncle Charlie.
Aí, Eric, come on.
What child is this who laid to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping? Whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch our shepherds guide and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary.
Why lies in such mean estate, where ox and lamb are feeding? The end of fear for all.
Yes, please. Michael, thank you very, very